I welcome you to our program entitled Integrative Theology. I am your host, Bishop Dr. Derek A. Reeves, and today we're going to deal with our third supplemental lecture to Lecture 5. And this is in the course, Theosophy Philosophy. I am your host, Bishop Dr. Derek A. Reeves. I want to dive right into our lecture for today. Today, the third supplemental lecture is Descartes' Dualism and its impact. Now, we covered some of this in the first supplemental lecture, but I want to go a little further. René Descartes' mind-body dualism, or the Cartesian dualism, which we covered earlier, profoundly impacted Western philosophy, science, and medicine by positing that reality consists of two fundamentally distinct substances. Again, there was res cognitans, the thinking substance, the immaterial mind, or the soul, characterized by thought, consciousness, and non-extension in space, or called the mens. Then there was the res extensa, which was the extended substance, the physical body or matter, characterized by extension in space and governed entirely by mechanical laws. The impact of this separation was again revolutionary, and it allowed for what we would call both the construction of an idealization that enabled both disciplines to be able to gain a foothold and to impact the studies of theology and science from a different perspective. And so it separated both of these, and it was revolutionary and had both enabling and constraining consequences across various disciplines. It's very important because the impact on science and medicine, it enabled for science and medicine to be studied from a purely intellectual point of view without the mysticism. And it opened up the doors for advancement of medicine, such things as biomedical models, biological studies of the organs, the cells, and the chemistry that caused them to work, and the causes and the cure of diseases. This led to an immense progress in surgery, pharmacology, and other independent studies. And so there were negative things also, because it produced, again, the mind-body program. In this mind-body program, individuals were uncertain as to what the mind is. And so in their uncertainty, they began to move further and further away from theological points of view, such as a living soul. And the further they got, the more in denial they began to incorporate their teachings as it related to the living soul. Everything became the product of what we call machinery, or the mechanical. The body, the mind, or the brain were considered to be the fusion of all mechanical processes. Thoughts and everything became tied to the physical. The mind, as a matter of fact, was debunked as a living soul. And so many who studied the physiological point of view believed that the mind was simply the hardwiring and the functionality of the hardwiring. But Descartes' explanations and his scientific discoveries, or observations, I should say, had a profound impact on philosophy and consciousness. He began to consider individuality, and the fact that he himself could think led him to begin to understand that if he is thinking, then he as an individual truly exists. And if he truly exists as an individual and he is thinking, then he is uniquely different from all other individuals that exist. And so in using cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am, he began to influence others into thinking that perhaps there is a unique difference in all individuals. And perhaps there is an individual entity that operates through the physical body. And so this became one of the problems in the development of a theosci philosophical theology. In other words, science kept trying to divorce itself from theology. Philosophy was the middle ground, and in many cases, scientists rejected philosophers and theologians rejected philosophers. They said philosophy was truly just what they called a self-made science. It wasn't truly knowledge at all, but preponderance and hypotheticals. But even when we study scientia, science is filled of hypotheticals. Science is filled with things that cannot be tested, cannot be proven, because they've never been observed. The theological, if done correctly, then the text itself becomes the data. And the data then is understood through a strict ethical, philosophical hermeneutics that examines the text and allows the text to say what it truly says without a lot of eisegesis that lead the construct of the interpretations. There is such a thing as exegetical eisegesis, breaking down the text, pulling out or extrapolating the meaning, using exegeastehi to pull the meaning out and to simply say what the meanings say or the text says. The eisegesis will come when it will say, in probability, it could mean this, it could mean this, it could mean this. This is what the text says. Further examination and analyzation will be taken to gain a greater understanding. I thank you for being with us. This has been Integrated Theology from our course, Theosci Philosophy. I thank you for joining us. I am your host, Bishop Dr. Derek A. Reeves. Jesus is coming back again. Don't forget to view, like, share, and leave a comment. God bless you in Jesus' name.